To all our viewers all over the world, we would like to welcome you back to yet another exciting and informative episode of Tech Talk Live with your favorite host, Mpumi Mpama, brought to you by Tamani Technologies and Systems. Today, our guest is Mr. Tim Yen from Hikvision to tell us the amazing things they have done globally through technology. Mr. Yen, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Sure. Now, Hikvision is quite famous. It has been number one manufacturer in video security industry.
Yes.
But for the ordinary person out there who might be curious of what Hikvision is, would you like to tell us more about what it is? And also just touch a bit on the kind of videos and surveillance cameras that you have.
Sure. So I think before we jump into who we are and just, video surveillance is a very broad term.
Yes.
And I think for most of your viewers, let me just explain what it actually covers and just to give them an idea how they probably touch it on an everyday basis without them even realizing. So video surveillance can encompass things like your CCTV at home, your traffic cameras that you drive past in the morning, and your video surveillance in malls. So they protect us silently every day, actually. So I think it's quite important just to see how prevalent, video surveillance is, especially in the South African context. To give you guys a bit of an idea about who we are as Hikvision, we're an IoT solutions company. We are global, and according to the latest IHS market report, we are number one, as we've said already. We currently have about over 40,000 employees worldwide, and just under half of those are R&D staff.
Wow.
So as of 2019, our turnover was about $8 billion globally. So about 9% of that we're actually investing into R&D. So this should actually tell you how seriously we take R&D and technology development as. And one of the things I would like to stress here is that we don't just cover video surveillance. We also, that is our main discipline, but we also go into things like, your robotics, your smart home, and your unmanned vehicles, as well as data. So in general, we're seeing very, very good growth in these sectors, and we're hoping that we can bring it into the African continent as well, and to also help grow African continent, continent technology-wise.
Wow, that's a mouthful, because already you're telling us how Hikvision is impacting the whole world, and it's giving back as well in building and in being a huge part of technology when it comes to this. In terms of artificial intelligence, we know that it has been a very hot topic for many years now. In the circle of technology, how is it being used in video security according to Hikvision?
So video security, especially when you look at it from a AI perspective, you can imagine it as if it's the eyes of a body, basically. It is how you would provide hard data to a system. And we currently have devices that can do very fun things like identified license plates, and also differentiate between vehicles and humans. Now, it goes a lot more beyond that, because once you can start categorizing these data, once you can start bringing in more things such as what your vehicle's color is, what kind of make they are, you can start building trends. And with these kind of valuable data, hard data from video, as the saying goes, seeing is believing.
Of course,
And you have a AI automatically sorting these information and presenting it in a timeless manner. Your system then becomes a proper business tool of efficiency.
So I heard that also that your video cameras can automatically identify plates and animals and other things. How far do you take that?
So we go from just the license plate to all the way down to, the color of the vehicle. You can start searching back on things like, I want to see all the red cars that has came onto my premises.
Wow.
I want to see the number of red cars. Maybe I want to do some marketing study of how many blue cars are coming onto my premises. Or I just want to count vehicles. This directly linked to things like your parking guidance systems, which we do. So we can help from a number plate perspective, because you see a lot of the license plates, the parking guidance systems out there, they actually use sensors to tell the height. And it becomes very, very dense. You go into one of these parking lots and it's just a sea of lights. So with this kind of a system, we can actually help you find your car in the parking lot. We can help you guide your car in the parking lot. From a building management point of view, you can make your parking lot a lot more efficient by integrating AI into that system. And that's something we use globally, which we would like to also see here in Africa as well.
So would I be correct, though, if I would say that this is a good tool for the marketing guys? Because it gives you specifically what you're looking for.
So we have systems that can do things like people counting. So for a lot of the commercial, let's say, commercial buildings and people that do rental, where they measure rent on foot traffic, we typically see a lot of the local systems used, or the sensor-based people counting system. And that is not really that accurate, because essentially it doesn't have any intelligence in it. With our devices, we incorporate AI onto the edge of this device, and we actually allow for very accurate counting of foot traffic. Just the device itself can start building trends for your premises, and you can actually have very, very accurate reports. Now imagine you take that device and you maybe link it up with Google for weather reports. So now you want to see, on a sunny day, I'm seeing this much more people. And you can start building some very interesting trends to turn your videos into a business tool.
Well, Mr. Yen, many security guards and users are bothered by false alarms. Can AI technology solve this problem?
Most certainly. So one of the reports that we have seen from market research is that in South Africa, most of the alarms that control room are getting, over 80% of them are false alarms. Now, can you imagine the cost just on the operation side of sending out a car to check these alarms, having the guard out now walking around, and then just viewing it remotely, not even viewing it remotely, just to verify these alarms. Now imagine if you have a device that can, from the edge, filter out things like animals. Things like if I only want to see humans that's jumping over a perimeter. Or if I'm in an institute that's expecting cars, I only want to see cars. So with these devices, we can, this is all on the edge, by the way, it's not on the server side. So we can start running rules like we can draw a line. We can say, okay, through this virtual line in this view that we're seeing, if you have a human-sized object that jumps over, or we define it as human, I must now see an alarm. If it doesn't fall into the category, it can then filter out that alarm, and you won't be bothered by that false alarm. So this is how we enable and make sure AI is actually accessible. Because a few years ago, AI wasn't actually a very accessible thing for the video market. Or it was, but it was rather pricey. But now when we put it into the edge device, it becomes much more accessible, and we can now start taking advantage of it.
So in other words, what happens here is it's a matter of pinning it down to exactly what you want, and then that alarm system will tell you exactly what is happening there.
Correct, yes. So imagine if you are a operation manager inside a control room. Now, how good is the control room going to be if all day all you're dealing with is just false alarms? You would be worked to the bone. You would be sending out cars to verify 80% of which are false alarms, and your operation won't actually be efficient. Now, if we can say that to a large degree, we can filter out most of those false alarms, you focus on the real events, you can be that much more efficient. And this is what AI is all about. It's making your system efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. This is interesting. Now, you've got branches in Johannesburg, Pretoria, Port Elizabeth, and Cape Town. During this pandemic, I would like you to explain to us, would I be correct, though, in saying that with the previously mentioned products that we spoke about, could this help monitor factors like social distancing and keeping other regulations when it comes to COVID? But before you answer that, tell us why so many branches or that much branches in South Africa. Is this strategic?
Yes. So we very much believe in helping the end user and our partners to design a working system.
Yeah.
We don't believe in just providing a singular slice of the product.
Yeah.
We want to help and make sure that we give you guys the complete solution.
Right.
And that's important because the complete solution is the answer to the question.
Right.
It is not something that just you move off the shelf and that's it.
Okay.
So we have these branches purely so that we can help in a regional setting to help design and make sure the solution is correct and to help support our partners in those regions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you survey the region first and then look at the needs and then cater for those needs according to what's happening there?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, we do. So we look at things like what is the demand of the market that we're dealing with, what kind of data they would like to see. You know, when we deal with a control room, we actually ask them, look, what kind of vertical do you guys play in?
Yes.
Maybe if you are in more of a mining vertical, we have specialized mining solutions as well.
Right.
So these things help us to be that much more agile.
Yeah. But what you're saying right now, you're touching on what we spoke before the interview, when you said that it's actually a solution. You bring solutions to all these kind of things.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us more about that?
So we'll give you an example with a parking guidance sort of setting.
Right.
We had a property developer that we were dealing with before.
Yes.
And we were looking at how to make their parking more efficient.
Okay.
And we were able to, through some assumptions, help them make a decision on whether or not the parking guidance system is worth it compared to now building a whole new section of parking.
Right.
So a lot of the times people think to themselves, okay, well, we need more parking spaces, therefore, that's how we can get more foot into the door.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily it. If you go into certain malls, you start seeing things like, okay, people are congregating in just the one area.
That's right, yeah.
So we were able to present them with a plan that, okay, we see that here's where your congestions mostly are.
Yes.
By inputting these kind of parking guidance systems, we can help you get that much more out of your existing space.
Right.
And the end of that kind of a study, we were able to present that, it was a 80% saving compared to building a new parking lot.
Yeah.
So things like that just helps the end user make up their mind and also help the system integrators in this case to input the right solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So when we talk now about the products that we spoke about earlier on, how then do they help in social distancing and
Okay. So we have a lot of specialized products that fit into the COVID-19 scenario.
Okay.
And we have lots of technology that can help with that. So one of the things that help with social distancing is our flow control, as well as population density type of systems.
Okay.
Our flow control system basically involves a people counting camera that we've mentioned before.
Yes.
We link it up to our digital signage, which is specially programmed to work to display the correct kind of warnings. So with these kind of systems, we can say that in this building, we're only looking at only allowing 20 people inside this building.
Right.
People coming in, they're counted, and we say now there is 19 people, you can still have 19 more. And then when the building is filled up, we can enforce behaviors by even linking it up with the existing access control. The door won't necessarily open until until someone has exited, or we just display warning signs. On top of this, we can also link it up with our cameras which has AI built into them to enforce mask-wearing policies.
Right. Yes.
So if someone tries to approach your building and they don't have their mask on,
yes.
they may get a warning tone to say, listen, sir, ma'am,
yes.
you don't have your mask on, this is highly dangerous, please can you wear it before we let you in. So it's just little things that can remove a lot of the unsafety aspects.
Yes.
You know, and I think it'll help a lot of the headaches that current building managers may have.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. And you know, we live in a society where people want to do their own thing.
Yes.
So this will actually remove that factor from everything and put the safety first.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. In terms of schools, I know you're involved in schools and campuses. In terms of those, security is of paramount importance.
Very important.
For both the learners and the parents.
Yes.
To develop an effective security system, all the possible risk included, theft, breaking in, and people being violated, and threats that would be in the campus. Does Hikvision cater for this?
Yes, we have specialized solutions that's designed for campuses.
Okay.
So one of the things that we do is actually, and this is very on topic, is a emergency, we want to call it a alarm pole.
Okay.
So it basically looks like a big telephone pole.
Right.
Inside it is actually a specially locked away capsule.
Okay.
Now this capsule can be linked up to a control room to open up, and in there you can put anything like defibrillators to mace so that the person can defend themselves.
Yes.
And on this pole you have a intercom unit that the person that needs help can now talk to someone in the control room.
Okay.
The reason why this solution is actually a pole is so that we can mount a camera on top of it. We have what we call pan, tilt, and zoom camera. So it's a camera that the lens can move around. And it can help the controller inside the operation center to actually look around this person to see what is wrong. Maybe while looking, also give instructions on how to operate the equipment, the life-saving equipment inside the capsule. So that is a solution that we do for campuses as well as universities.
Okay.
In terms of schooling surveillance, we also, moving back a little point on the COVID-19, we also do things like a bus fever screening solution.
Okay.
So you can get pre-screened as you're walking onto a bus, and it will tell you you might have a temperature. Please, would you get checked, and then certain policies can be implemented even from that level before the person gets on the bus. So these are all tools that can allow the institutes to actually put in processes that can keep their staff and their pupils a lot safer.
That'll be great, because we've experienced, especially talking about South Africa, we've experienced in our campuses that there had been a whole lot of violations, to mention about a few, rape and theft and all of that. And our students have been feeling not so safe. And you'd find that at some point maybe some security guards will be involved and all of that. So these polls you're talking about, they actually help also to determine who was right and who is wrong, and where the negligence has been.
So these polls, they generally are painted sort of bright orange with help signs all over them. And they can actually be a nice gathering point for emergencies. And it can make campuses at nighttime or campuses even during daytime a lot safer, because it's now something visually that is there already. You can quickly run there, press for help. And if you map out these poles properly on the campus, you now have the guards already knowing where these poles are. You press it, you get an alarm, there's a video feed, there's someone immediately on the other side talking to you. Maybe someone's having a heart attack. You can quickly take them to that area. There's probably a defibrillator there. Or you're under attack. You need a mace to help yourself. Quickly go there. They can release that for you. You can protect yourself immediately.
Are these remotely controlled? Or should they be in the campus? The people who are operating these cameras?
Well, they can be remotely controlled. So your control room can typically be on campus, or through the network be in another area.
Sure. I was going to ask you about the price and everything, but it's all right. People will just check for themselves. Talking about COVID-19, the whole world has been struck by this pandemic. And it has enforced strict measures that somewhat are very uncomfortable to some people because we need to adapt to this. Do you think we've been driven into an era where technology is important and should be something that we're using?
Oh yes, definitely. And I think technology has always been important.
Okay.
It's just now it's out of necessity that we should, evolve a bit and then get into the IoT of things, basically.
Okay.
We are certainly becoming far more connected through the internet due to the fact that we're all under lockdown.
Yes.
And I think just look at the prevalences of your video conferencing and the type of technology that has now came out of that.
Okay.
Incidentally, we also do a whole range of video conferencing suites that we're helping the education institutes with, from your virtual boards to your actual video conferencing devices.
Okay.
And this is all on a open platform which allows people to link up together.
Yeah.
In terms of general market, I think we will probably see this kind of technology be a lot more prevalent in the future. Okay. To comment, I think people are actually waking up now to also see that, that meeting that has to be in person can also be taken place virtually as well.
That's right, yes.
We look at our services, even the show right now, we're streaming it over the internet.
Yeah, yes.
So I think we are all evolving, and this has just put a lot more speed on that, basically.
Yeah. As number one all over the world, what would you say in terms of development? Is Africa in the right direction? Is Africa developing at a relevant pace? How do you view this in terms of technology?
So I think Africa is a place of great potential. Okay. It really is. Yes. And I've been here for 20 years now. Okay.
I can't even say welcome. You've been here for a long time now.
And I've fallen in love with with Africa. It's a place where there's so much potential in terms of technology and so much potential of growth. Yes. That I think that we're definitely in the step in the right direction. Okay. But we just need to make sure that we're doing it correctly and in the right pace as well. Yeah.
Okay. When you say right pace, is this pace frustrating in a way that you still need to educate people first, or is it something that you can just put it on? I know technology is very sophisticated when you go deeper into it. Is it something that needs some education first before you introduce these things?
Well, I think education is also evolving with the technology nowadays. Right. To learn now, there's so much tools at your fingertip that can help. So relevant to the pace, I don't think that is frustrating. I think it's actually very, very good that we are starting in the era where there's just so much resources that is at people's fingertip. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think knowledge nowadays is probably a lot more accessible compared to back then.
Of course, yes. Yeah. Yes, and it starts at an early age because the children of grade 1 and all of that already they have been introduced to technology and computers. Yeah. And if we put more into this, they can actually get to that level.
Yeah, most definitely. Children these days, before they reach teenager, they will be playing with the iPads and the technology. They probably know more than I do at this stage.
True. Okay. So what you're saying, would this be a solution for farming as well?
Certainly.
Okay.
We actually dealt with a few trout farms overseas as well, where they needed to find out. And this is a very weird term, so I'm not trying to make this up. They actually have fishes that they're called, the loser fish, as well as fishes that are, more prominent, basically. Yeah. They need to identify the loser fish that could be diseased or could have certain scaling on them. Yes. And we actually use cameras that are submersible to look at the patterns on the fishes and that kind of stuff that allows them to, identify them quicker to say, listen, this tank has too many of fishes that are displaying certain types of fungus disease, that kind of stuff. Yes, yes. And it allows them to now pick these up from an early stage and maybe implement fixes quickly.
Okay, sure.